So like I had gone viral a plethora of other times through other people's like pages and stuff because I didn't adopt him. I found him on the side of the road. Yeah, he was a little bitty, tiny little baby right when lockdown happened here in LA. And I like raised him and no one would take him. All the wildlife officials were like, he's going to die. They don't live. Like they're marsupials. They're supposed to be like in the mama's belly at body temperature round the clock for 14 weeks. And he was like 3 weeks old. And I was like, all right, well, that's your opinion. I'm going to raise this little critter in my boobs because that's like, a pouch and it's body temperature. And I tube fed him every 2 hours for months, round the clock. And I was sure that he was going to die and he didn't. And he turned out, my pit bull raised him. He turned out to be the most incredible creature I've ever encountered in my life with the biggest heart.
Wait, why am I going to cry?
He was, I know, I'm going to cry too because he's my baby and he passed. But I have his name tattooed on me and he's like the background of my phone. But he was the best little man ever, taught me a lot about like motherhood and like unconditional love for weird, ugly little creatures.
So what is it like to raise a possum and what are possums really like?
It's crazy. I do not recommend, this is my like official statement, I do not recommend going and picking up a possum on the side of the road, okay? The bigger ones, don't trifle with them. Don't do it. But they're like, for one, they're the best. I'm biased, obviously, but like, they're so good for the environment. They eat like thousands of ticks a year that have like Lyme disease, so it stops the spread of Lyme disease.
Oh, wow.
They're immune to poisonous snake bites, so like the antidote is like a derivative of like their blood, or I don't know how they tested it, but like they're completely immune to like, they can have like 80 rattlesnake and coral snake bites and they're completely fine. Like they're feisty. And they're almost fully blind. So, like, they have really crazy sense of hearing. It's the opposite of me. I can't hear anything, but I have 20/20 vision, Not if you look at my ex-boyfriends. I don't really know what that happened. But basically, they're the best creatures ever. And they're, like, practically harmless. And, like, they just get scared if, like, they hear really loud noises. And, like, but they're really sweet. And they're really amazing creatures. And, like, our only marsupials. And it was really interesting raising him because... funnily enough, I had already had a possum. So, like, I had a mentally challenged possum named Tulabelle who had, like, an injury. So, my mom, like, couldn't get into vet school. And so then we just took in everything.
So she turned your house into a zoo?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, like, we had bats. We had, like, an owl. I had a red-winged hawk at one point. We had, like, snakes. Just about everything. And we had raccoons and, like, a possum. And this possum, Tulabelle, lived in our walls. And my mom would leave cat food for her at the end of the bed every single night, right? And then Tulabelle would come down into our room in the middle of the night because me and my mom slept in the same room. And she'd eat her cat food. My mom would wake up and be like, oh, Tulabelle's fine, whatever. And this is like a wild possum. And then Tulabelle would just go slink back off into some hole in the wall. And then my mom woke up one night and Tulabelle was like labored breathing. And my mom wakes up and she sees that Tulabelle's been mauled by something. Like she's like on her deathbed. She's covered in blood, the whole shebang, like half dead. And she came down because like she needed help. And it's crazy that like that animals have this like intuition. Animals have this like trust when they need it. And like she trusted my mama. And so this wild possum let my mom pick her up with her bare hands.
Whoa.
And take her to the vet. And this vet gave her emergency surgery, saved her life. But she had lost so much like blood that she was like a little delulu. And so she ate breakfast with me every morning in a tutu at the breakfast table.
What?
Yeah. And so I already knew a lot about possums because like my mom, and me like helped them a lot and raised them. And most of the little ones we would find like would die, because it's just so hard to keep them in like the same climate because when they're born with the nipple in their mouth. So they never learn how to like suckle. So if they get detached from that, you have to tube feed them to get them to be able to get any of the food. And most people don't know that. They're usually just like syringe dropping or bottle and like they're not eating it and they'll just die. And so for months I had a little possum in my boobies everywhere I went. I went to the coffee shop that kept me fed and like my shirt was moving and Mikey was like looking at my boobs and I'm like, Mikey, we're too close for this. Like, this is weird. What are you doing? And he's like, your tits are moving. And I was like, oh, that's Bowie. Like, he's just in here. It's like a little bitty guy. But
that's crazy.
It's crazy, but I had no idea what he was going to turn out like. And then me and my ex bought this farmhouse in Northern California, which is like my dream, on 100 acres. And I was like, okay, well, when he gets big, I'll just put him outside and he can come back for food, on like the porch. And then I realized that like, I always thought I'd be like a tough love parent, but I realized that I raised a brat because he would only eat organic scrambled eggs. He would not, like in the morning, I made him scrambled eggs every morning with like spinach. And he would not eat like certain brands of the eggs. He would smell them and he would walk his butt away. And I'm like, what have I done? I've created a monster. And like him and my dog would sleep together and wrestle together. And like I was like, he's gonna go up to a bear when he's out there and be like, what up, brother? How you doing?
No, he has to live
So
in your
like
house.
he had to live in our house, and he would sleep. He slept in bed with me and my ex like every night, just passed out. Keep a little snack for him on the bedside table. He'd wake up in the middle of the night, take a couple drinks of water, eat a little snack, pass back out. He was the best critter that like in the whole entire world. Let me see if I have. Look at this picture of him. That's my son.
Oh my
Can you
God.
see him?
How long did he live
He's
for?
an angel. He lived like geriatric possum years. They're only supposed to live like 2 years. He was 4.5. And he was like, when I say geriatric, I mean, he had like no teeth. Like his tongue was like all the time, and he had like a bum leg, and he'd just like waddle around. He was best man ever.
I didn't know that they only live for that long.
Because they have so many babies at a time. It's like God's way of like being like, let's not have you overpopulating the earth. Like, you know, like deers, like huge overpopulation problem. But like they're only having like, you know, one baby, I think, or like 2 babies like from the mom. But like possums can have like 12 to 14 babies every single litter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's like, and they can have multiple of that like in their life. So like you're having so many, and then like it's just natural selection, you know, like they die from other causes. Mostly in the wild, they don't even live to 2 years. That's like in captivity. So anyways, that was my son. But was that the question?
He's beautiful.
Okay, thank you.
He is beautiful.
Thank you. He's best man. Oh, wait, I think I have another one. This is him playing Stevie Wonder's piano, where I make my records at Electric Lady. He was really talented. He played on my record. Can you see him?
Yeah.
The best little man ever. It's a C chord. But yeah, he's a good guy.
I mean, like, would you describe their demeanor like a dog or like a hamster,
It's
a guinea
like
pig, a combination?
I think that like it's so rare
Cat.
to like find one and have them survive. I could not tell you, and like I would not ever recommend, if you ever find one, like take it to a wildlife official, because like you don't know how they're going to turn out. And he turned out the way that he did partly because I think he's like special, but also his eyes were closed when I found him. He had never seen anything. He had never learned any traits.
You were the first thing you saw.
Yeah, and like was just unconditional love, and like, you know, other critters, but like any wild animal is like temperamental. So like I would just be a little cautious of it.
Was he temperamental?
No, he was not at all. He was amazing. But like when like I went viral multiple times on the internet. Oh, that was the question. I went viral multiple times on the internet for him because he went everywhere in a little farmer's market basket, and he wore an ascot. And so I would take him on like the subway in New York when we lived there, and like I would be in a little scarf, he'd be in a little sweater, like we'd just be on the, you know, riding the subway. He just sits in his little basket, like watch everything. And like people would film that, and like to me it's like, oh, I'm just taking my critter out, like whatever. I didn't think anything of it. And then I was like, oh wait, people think this is crazy.
Yeah,
Maybe it is a little bit crazy. And so we went viral on the internet a bunch of times for that. But then, oh, the Atlantic thing, the way that Atlantic got, sorry, it takes a minute to just circle back. I did an apartment tour. You know Caleb Simpson?
Of course.
Yeah. So Caleb is a friend of mine, and I didn't know him then when this happened, but I went on like 2 dates with this man that we did not, you know, he was not going to be my husband. But
With Caleb Simpson?
no, not with Caleb Simpson. Caleb's a sweetie boy, though. We love him. But with this other guy, and he like saw my apartment, and he was like, oh my God, I know this guy Caleb that like I did a shoot with. Like he would love your apartment. And I was like, all right, whatever. Not knowing that that was like the moment that literally every single aspect of my life was going to change. Like I was then overnight going to become like an influencer or whatever, like have a massive following that I could never imagine. And then also have every record label you could think of calling me, whining, dining, flying me everywhere. Like I'm talking every single one. It's crazy. So like he posted, well, there's 2 things that happened. He posted the video, which it was like right around Christmas time. So I thought that he was like not gonna post it for like 2 weeks or something, but he didn't tell me when he was posting it. So that night I'd filmed a really funny little video with me and Bowie where it was like, do you remember that audio? It was like, where should I put my shoes? And da-da-da, da-da-da. And then it says, put them over here, whatever. And so then I made this, yeah, I'm on the internet. And so then I made this audio where it was like, it's like, why don't I have any money to pay my rent? And then it's like, because I keep buying my possum sweaters and cowboy hats. And so then I like held him up. And I fell asleep. I just posted this cute video. I had like 10,000 followers on like TikTok or something just from like our other cute videos. And then I fell asleep, woke up. My phone was like you could fry an egg on it. It was so hot. And like, I was like, what the heck? I look at my phone. It's just ding, ding, ding. I had all notifications on ding, 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 ding. And text, calls, like notifications from every social media app. And that video had gone to 32 million, and Caleb had posted his video, which had gone to like 12 million. They were both in an algorithm together. So when that video was showed, the other one was, and I was just watching like 10,000 went to like 200,000 overnight. Then it went to like 300,000, and it was like crazy, crazy, crazy bonker jonkers. And I didn't know what to do. Right. Then my managers are calling me saying like, Willow, like all the labels are like, calling, we don't know what to do. That put my single drive-in, which is an unmixed, unmastered, put up through DistroKid with, no label support, just me. And that had put that into like an algorithm on Spotify. So then that went from like 100,000 plays to like, 1.5 million, like over, it was crazy. And so they like saw it from that. And like the connection was just like, they went and clicked on my profile and then clicked on the link to my Spotify. And so then Atlantic was like, this girl's crazy, because like I had a possum and like this crazy apartment that I'm so lucky to still live in, but like, and so I ended up meeting with like Interscope and like Island, and then Capitol, and then Atlantic, and like Warner, like all of these, and Sony, and like wine and dine. I mean, I was like shit faced the whole time, because I was going to like 2 lunches a day and they were getting me cocktails and wine. If it's free, it's for me. And so like I was like, this is awesome. Like, can we just do this courtship for the rest of my life? This is awesome. Which obviously we couldn't do. And then I went to meet Atlantic for the first time ever, and I brought them. My mom always told me to never show up empty-handed to things, right? I'm like a Southern woman. That's how it goes. And I have my great-grandmother's cobbler recipe, so I showed up with a cobbler for Pete Gambarg.
Whoa.
And, blackberry honey glazed vanilla cobbler. And I brought him that in my little 1940s milk glass dish. And then all the other labels were like, we want you to fly here and meet this person. And the typical thing of like, they're trying to get a feel on me before they lock in. And like, I'm trying to get a feel on them. But like, I'm a very fast and furious woman, and I like decisiveness. And I show up to Atlantic, and 4 hours later, after Pete has eaten my cobbler, there's a offer in my inbox. And I said, bird in hand, I grew up in a flea market. So like, and Atlantic's been phenomenal to me so far. And like, I love them, and shout out to all the new boys over there now. And yeah, it's great.